types of goods, and this is going to be our last encounter with our introduction, and thereafter we shall go straight to our price theory topics. And in types of goods, we begin with an economic good. All goods are not the same. So some goods are economic, others are free, others are for the public, others are for an individual privately given, others are inferior, others superior, others consumer, complementary, substitute, and so on. So we are going to look at all of them and then try to see their characteristics and how generally we can separate one good from the other. Let's begin with an economic good. This is a good which is scarce relative to its demand, and its consumption involves a price. Good which is scarce relative to its demand and its consumption involves a price. And its consumption involves a price, meaning that it is paid for. It's paid for. Examples: car, book or books, let's say clothing. So all these economic goods and so many others, and in order to access them or possess them, you have to pay a price. What are the characteristics of such a good? Characteristics of an economic good. Characteristics of an economic good. First of all, every good possesses utility. Possesses utility or satisfaction. Meaning that an economic good, when you buy it purposely, it is to give you a certain level of satisfaction or a certain level of utility. So we don't buy goods just for the sake of admiring them, but we buy goods for that contentment we derive out of them. Economic good, as the definition says, is relatively scarce. Relatively scarce, that is, not abundant, it's relatively scarce, not abundant, so that it remains economic. Otherwise, if you can access it anyhow, anywhere, without any problem, then there is nothing economic about it. But it has to be relatively scarce, so that you incur some kind of cost in looking for it. Then it has a money value. Has a money value. That's why in the definition they are telling us that it involves a price. Has a money value, meaning that it is paid for. Paid for. You get your money and give it to the seller, and then in return you get that economic good. Then, like any other kind of wealth, its ownership is also transferable. Its ownership is transferable. Meaning that if you have a car, you can give it, donate to somebody, give it to your wife, give it to your child, and maybe sell it off. Both the same thing. Clothing, same thing. So you can transfer the ownership of an economic good, or either you sell it or you give it away as a gift, but at least you can get rid of it as need may arise. So those are the characteristics of an economic good. And if a good is not economic, then you can say it is a free good. Anything which you don't buy, then it is free. Free good. So how do we define a free good? A free good is one which exists in natural abundance. Natural abundance. Unlike the economic good, which is scarce or relatively scarce, free good is actually very abundant, and there is enough of it. There is enough of it for everybody. Everybody to use at the same time. To use at the same time. There is enough of it for everybody to use at the same time and at zero cost. At zero cost or price. Examples, e.g., fresh air, rainwater, and many other examples. Free goods also have their own characteristics or their features, and we can be able to note down the following. One, again, we can get one of the features of the definition. They exist in natural abundance. Exist in natural abundance. Meaning that they are naturally given in plenty and nobody can control their supply. Only God knows how to provide them. Then two, they also provide utility to the user. Provide utility or satisfaction to the user. The moment you are enjoying sunshine, you get happy. Even some people move away from their countries to come to the tropics and maybe sunbathe because it is free. They only have to pay for their accommodation and maybe transport, but to sit at the beach and enjoy the sun and get that tan, it is free. So we don't pay anything as far as the sunshine is concerned, and they get that kind of satisfaction from it. So enjoy it at zero price. Enjoy it at zero price or cost. So those are the common features of a free good. Exist in natural abundance, that is, they are in plenty in their natural setting, and you find that nobody can exclude any other from using them, and they can be used by so many people at the same time without any kind of exclusion. And usually, unlike the economic good, you don't have to pay anything for their enjoyment. The comes, you are free to tap the rainwater as much as you want, and nobody will tell you that please stop tapping that water. No, it's naturally given, and you enjoy it at no cost at all. Then number 3, we have public goods. Public goods. Public goods. What are public goods? A public good is one which, when provided to a particular group of people by the state, becomes available to others at no additional cost. It is a good which, when provided by the state, meaning that a public good is provided by the government to the people, and when it is provided, it becomes available to others, to everybody, for their use or their consumption at no extra cost. And if one person is using that public good, it does not mean that others will not be having access to it, or he or she will reduce the amount available for other people's use. No. So using of a public good does not reduce the amount available for others. Public good, a good which, when provided by the state, which, when provided by the state, becomes available for everybody, to use at no extra cost, and the use by one does not diminish the amount available for others. The amount available for others. A public good is a good which, when provided by the state or the government, becomes available for everybody to use at no extra cost, and the use by one does not diminish the amount available for others. What do they mean by there is no need to pay an extra cost? If you look at examples of a road, in order for government to give us roads, so we have to pay taxes. But it doesn't mean that if you didn't pay tax, you will not use that road. No. So people have already contributed and they have already paid that amount of money in form of taxes, which now government has transferred into the construction of roads. So it doesn't mean that only those who pay taxes are the ones that are going to access that road. No way. Everybody is going to be using it because it is for the public. So you don't need to pay anything. You don't need to have an additional cost unless it's stated or stipulated, like we have in Uganda, the express highway, where whoever uses it has a fee to pay, but there is a reason for that. So that one, it is provided by the state, but they need a fee purposely for its maintenance and keeping it in good shape. Otherwise, all other roads are free for us to use at any one time. And if a person is using it, it does not reduce or diminish the amount available for others. So we have roads, we have the army, we have the police, we have the public hospitals. All those are public what? Public goods. Public schools and many other examples. And in this case, they also have features that we can use to identify them. So features, or again characteristics or traits. characteristics of public goods. Features, characteristics or traits of public goods. They are: 1, they are non-divisible. Non-divisible. That is, cannot be broken into, cannot be divided or broken down for people to use. For people to use, but are used in their entire capacity. Their entire capacity or wholeness. A road, you can't say that now we are going to demarcate a road. This is for poor people, this one is for rich people, this one is for cars, this one for what? No, it is not divisible. You use it as it is, and it's up to you to see that you don't compromise other users, but you also allow them to use it because it is public. Then they are non-rivalry. Public goods are non-rivalry, meaning that there is no competition in their use. No competition in their use. Whereby people may compete that for me, I use that road more than you. So that matter, I'm more important. No way. Everybody is free to use them and you feel free and comfortable. And you are not competing with anyone. Then we find that they are non-excludable. Number 3, non-excludable. Public goods are non-excludable. No one is excluded or refused to use public goods. Everybody has equal access to these goods, so they don't exclude anyone. That for you, you will not come to this hospital. As long as it is public, everybody has that kind of entitlement in using the public good. And what is important is that you can be able to increase the consumption of that good yourself and without reducing the amount available for others. So that's why they do not exclude anyone. So those are the public goods. These are their features. You cannot divide a road, you cannot divide a hospital, you cannot divide a public park, that this side is for this and that, no way. So you use them in their wholesomeness, so their capacity, no rivalry, you don't compete for their use, that for me, I've used it more, so I'm this and that, no way. And nobody is going to be excluded. So that is type of good number 3. Which are the public goods. Then number 4, we have the private goods. Private goods. Private goods, as the term stands, they are private, meaning that access to others is denied and they give satisfaction to the individual owner. And you find that if an individual wants to use it, you need to get permission from the private owner and you are going to be excluded or you have to pay for it. So these are goods that provide satisfaction to an individual who pays for it, and consumption by the owner excludes others from using it. goods belonging to an individual after paying for it. So it involves a cost or a price after paying for it, and it's used by the owner. Its use by the owner excludes other users. Its use by the owner excludes other users from using it. We also have another type of good, which are the inferior goods. Inferior goods, and these are regarded inferior in relation to the income of the consumer. And we find that these are goods whose demand reduces as the income of the consumer increases, meaning that they are discarded off, or you do without them. The moment you become rich, they become almost meaningless to you as your wealth or as your affluence increases. So these are goods whose demand reduces as the income of the consumer increases, meaning that the income of the consumer increases, but the demand for inferior goods reduces. So here we have an increase, here we have a decrease, and this is what happens with inferior goods. You find that now because you have a bigger income, you are richer, it is not in line with your status to continue using those goods. If you get rich, you feel very bad to ride a bicycle, though health-wise it is very important. You do some exercise and you can burn some energy. But some people think that it's the poor people who ride bicycles, and for them they should be in cars. So somebody who has a higher income will discard the use of a bicycle and have a car, and then will regard the bicycle as an inferior good. The same with consumption goods. You may have been poor and you may be accompanying your tea with pieces of cassava and pancakes and that kind of thing, or leftover foods for supper. They are the ones that you use to accompany your breakfast. And now when you get richer, you feel that these are no longer fit to be at your dining table for breakfast, and you want now sausages, you want fried eggs, you want fried chicken. So now the others have become inferior. Why? By virtue of the fact that your income has increased, so you also switch to what you think is better in your diet. So here, these are usually the common cheap foodstuffs. Cheap foodstuffs mainly comprise the inferior goods. Then we have giffen goods. So these are goods which take a big percentage of the income of the poor people. Goods which take a big percentage of the poor man's income. And they are necessary for his survival. They are necessary for his survival. They are necessary for his survival. These are the given goods, and you find that they are again also mainly foodstuffs, like maybe maize flour, which is used for the making of posho. Some people cannot do without potatoes, so all these others, they look at bananas as their staple, or plantains as their staple food, and you find that they'll be taking a bigger part of their income. They will not be able to buy others, and at least until these are available in the home. So when you are budgeting, these are going to be allocated a bigger amount of money, but remember that the amount of money is not so big, because we are considering a poor what? A poor person. So poor consumers actually don't have that amount of money, but out of the little money they have, they are going to allocate a big chunk or a big percentage towards the buying of this, because they are necessary and they cannot survive without them. Then we have another category of goods, like the goods of ostentation. Goods of ostentation or luxuries. Ostentatious goods, ostentation, or luxuries. So these are goods demanded or bought for the purpose of showing off. Goods demanded or bought for the purpose of showing off. For the purpose of showing off, or snob appeal. Snob appeal. They emphasize one's status in society. They emphasize one's economic status in society, and they are not so necessary. They are not necessary. They are not necessary. E.g., golden watches, any watch, as long as it can tell you the right time, is okay. But some people say that for me, I can't put on that one. I want only those which are golden and they cost a lot of money, so that when he puts as his hand, you can see that, that watch, man, how much did you spend on it, so that economically you can know his status. Then Porsche cars, they like the Hummers, the Hummers. Somebody buys a Hummer, which will require you to put in petrol for millions and millions of shillings in order to move just around Kampala, whereas that amount of petrol would have been used by a poorer or medium income person for even a year in a smaller car. But for these Hummers, that's what they do. But at least somebody feels comfortable and happy that actually I'm someone. When they see that Hummer, they will know that it is me moving around and I'm a rich fellow or I'm a rich person. So those are the goods of ostentation, and they are also known as goods of snob appeal, and they emphasize one's status in society that are actually different from the others. Then we have substitute goods. Substitute goods. Substitute goods. These are goods that serve almost the same purpose for the consumer, and the absence of one, the other is demanded. Goods which almost serve the same purpose, for the consumer, and in absence of one, consumer buys the other. In absence of one, the consumer will buy the other. So one is a replacement for the other, and you find that if you find that tea leaves are not there, if tea leaves are absent, one buys coffee or chocolate, drinking chocolate, because they all serve the same purpose. They are beverages which are used for taking tea, and you get the desired kind of satisfaction. So tea leaves, can have that example. They can be replaced by coffee. For example, we have a variety of toothpastes. If Colgate is not there, there is no way you may not go for, let's say, Dividend. One is a substitute of the other, and you find that usually you look at the amount of money you have, but they serve the same purpose, and so on. So those are the substitute goods, but we also have another type of goods which we call the complementary goods. Complementary goods. And these are goods where one is useless without the other. And the two work together to give the consumer the desired satisfaction. The two are used together to give the consumer the desired satisfaction. An increase in demand for one leads to an increase in demand for the other. Why? Because the two are inseparable. Without one, the other is rendered useless. What examples do we have? For example, we have the guns and bullets. We have, let's say, cars and fuel. You can't say you are going to move on your fuel. Fuel is used in a car, and a car without fuel, it is going to be useless. So those two are demanded together. In order to complete a task, the two of them have to be there so that the consumer can get the desired level of satisfaction. From the complementary goods, we can now go to the consumer goods. Consumer goods. These are goods. These are goods ready for use. Ready for use by the consumer. They require no more processing, but are ready for use. They require no more processing, but are ready for use, and they give the consumer direct satisfaction. Ready for use for direct satisfaction. So those are consumer goods, and the existing forms that make them ready for immediate use by the consumer. They may be perishable or they may be durable. Some consumer goods are perishable, which we consume, and others are durable and we use them. And we have foodstuffs, we have furniture. So e.g., among the perishable, we have the food stuffs, and among the durable, we have furniture. You buy furniture to use it as it is without remodeling it, without processing it further, because it is ready for consumers' use and giving him the desired satisfaction. So those are the consumer goods. And if a good is not a consumer good, then that brings us to another type of good, which are producer goods. Producer goods. Producer goods. And these are goods which are manufactured and used in the production of others. These are manufactured goods. Manufactured goods used in the production of other goods. Used in the production of other goods. They are manufactured goods used in the production of other goods. They are also known as capital goods. Capital goods, and they're mainly in form of machinery. They are mainly in form of machines, because a machine is manufactured and you have to use it for further production. Take an example of a tractor. A tractor has been manufactured, and when it is there, that is not the end. It is going to provide a service in the agriculture sector to till the land, to clear the soil when making a road, and they are not desired for their own sake, but for what they can assist in producing. We also have cement. Cement is also manufactured, and you find that that is not the end of cement, but you are going to use it in construction. So machinery, cement, just to mention a few, those are the examples of capital or producer goods. We also have